Hello guitar lovers, I'm Eddie Roque, and in today's video I'm gonna show you 5 easy steps for better rhythm tones. Guess what? It's Wednesday, rainy day here in LA, and there's nothing better than playing some guitar and getting creative with rhythm tones. But as usual, please keep in mind, the points and techniques discussed in this video are just my personal opinions and preferences. After all, it's only rock and roll. Cheers. So now we have the backing track into Cubase, right here. So now I'm gonna record the first track. Guitar is going into the amp, crunch channel, going to the cabinet inside my, I don't know if you guys can see it down here, my ISO box. It's a 112 and I have 2 microphones in there. They have different angles, so I can record different areas of the speaker. And I will show you guys the tone from the first microphone and then the tone from the second microphone. Not touching the amp, not touching pedals, anything, just with different microphone positions. Why do I have 2 microphones in different positions? Why don't I just have 1 microphone and I change the position depending on what I'm recording? 2 things. It's a lot more convenient because my cabinet it's inside a box which is sealed. So it will be a pain every time I have to, push it and open it and change and seal and bring it back. So having 2 microphones in like fixed positions, it helps me to decide if I want the tone of this one or the other one or both of them combined. Let's hear it. This is the tone from my first microphone, which is in a slightly kind of like a 30-degree angle towards the dust cap in the speaker, and that's how it sounds. So let's record that with our backing track. Now we're gonna hit the microphone number 2, and I just have a little device where I can switch mic 1, mic 2, or I can blend them together if I want. This is the tone from the microphone number 2, which is a little more straight towards the dust cap in the speaker. So that's the tone. You might not hear a huge difference, but if I switch them back and forth, you will. So this is the microphone number 2. And this is the microphone number 1. It's very thin. And mic number 2, it's a little more full. So let's record that. If we listen to them isolated, this is microphone number 1. This is microphone number 2. So you can hear how they complement each other. They're both centered. As soon as we spread them in the stereo field, things starts to get very interesting. So you can hear how the stereo image it spreads a lot. One thing I love to do is to combine those two microphones into a single track, into a single channel. This is pretty easy to do. If you have like a small mixer, you can just connect the two microphones in two different channels and you sum them into one track going to your interface. The benefit of that, you can balance the volumes of each microphone. Let's hear the sound of the two microphones now combined into a single source. So now I have microphone number 2, and now I will add microphone number 1 and sum into the same track. So now you can hear exactly how I'm combining those two elements into a single track. And because of the distance between the microphones, there's some cancellation, there's some frequencies that get canceled, and you can choose, depending on the angle and the distance, what frequencies you're kind of canceling. So I choose this distance and this angle just to kill a little bit of the high end and make things a little more smooth to my ears. So these are the two microphones combined. Let's record that into a single track and see how it goes. So what I'm gonna do right now is I will record this sound again, but I'm gonna change a little bit, right? I really like to play with some of the mids. When you have too many layers of distortion or rhythm guitar, you're stacking them, or even if you're spreading them, it's nice to have different tones or a little bit of a different EQ, because you can complement their frequencies. One tip: try to not make things too broad, too big. If you have different guitars and if you're recording, you overdubbing, it's smart to make your guitar a little bit smaller, because you're stacking, you're adding. So you can have one towards more of a bright side, you can have one that it's a little more muddy, has more low end per se, and then you try to complement those two sounds and make it big as a single source, right? But if you have one guitar sound that is too big, is too wide, is too full, there's not much room to add anything. And if you send those tracks to like a mixing engineer or a producer, chances are he will open an EQ and he will do like a high cut, low cut, just to give some room for all of these tracks. So you can do that by yourself. And I will show you one pedal that it's amazing for overdubs and for creating like massive rhythm tones, because you can kind of choose which frequencies you would like to enhance for each of the tracks and the overdubs. But that comes next. So let's change the EQ in the amp and let's hear. So what I'm doing right now, okay, so that's our new track. So what we have so far is this track right here, and the second track, same thing. Let's open the stereo field. So you can hear how powerful they sound. when they're combined and spread. All I've done is change a little bit of the mids, a little less bass in the second track, so we're not overpowering those frequencies, right? And you can hear like a huge difference. So let me tell you about this pedal, which I think it's an amazing tool for this kind of huge sounds, which is the Carl Martin Plexi Ranger. Why it's amazing? Because you have an overdrive on one side and you have a boost, kind of a range master on the next side, with the benefit to choose the frequency you want to boost, how much of that frequency you want, and the range. You can have set your basic overdrive sound on one side, and you can have one layer choosing one frequency, and then you can overdub your guitar and add a different kind of frequency, so you are already creating separation without having to change mic position, the EQ in the amp, changing the guitar. What do you do if you want to capture all of these different sounds and all of these different elements if you only have one guitar? Because some people, they will have multiple guitars and multiple overdrives, multiple amps and microphones, just to achieve that kind of separation when you have multiple layers of guitar, especially overdriven ones. So this is an amazing tool for you. So for the sake of this experiment, I'm only using the boost side of the Plexi Ranger. Why? Because I want to show you that without having to mess with mic positions and EQ in the amp or anything, you can achieve some similar results when you're trying to stack layers of guitars just by changing the frequency in this little guy right here. So this is the tone we had before. What I'm trying to do is use a lower frequency range right here. Boost and range are a little bit above 12 p.m., like a 1 p.m. We turn it on. So this is the before. And now we are adding a little bit of this frequency to the sound. So let's record this track now. So what I'm gonna do right now is I will create another track and I would change the mid frequency so I can stack those two tracks and they will have naturally some sort of separation because we're not just overpowering. Same guitar, same amp, same EQ, same everything, and just, you know, pushing that, which is kind of effective if you want more of like an ensemble sound, right? Because you're creating just those little transients and delays, and it's a different performance with the same sound. It's effective, but usually I found that when I'm recording the same track or the same tone twice, I usually have an EQ in the mix so I can push things further. So why not just record that way and save time in the mixing? So what I'm gonna do right now, I go to the other end of the spectrum with the range. As you can hear, it sounds a little more scooped. So here's the second guitar, and the first one I'm just turned the other way around. I don't know if you guys can hear. How it changes the mid frequency. It's subtle, but once you hear it, you understand how important it is to have these little nuances. So let's hear it in the context of the song. So here's our first track. I think it's a very powerful and effective way to create separation if you don't have too much gear to choose from. Like I say, too many guitars, different amps. This is a pedal that it's super versatile and it's one of my favorite sounds ever. And we're only using the boost side. So let me record a lead track on top of that. So now I will switch my amp to the clean channel and use the overdrive side of the plexi with the boost, and I will choose a different frequency as well, so I can treat the lead guitar as another layer, trying to enhance different frequencies as well, so we create the separation that we've been talking about so far. Let's see how that goes. Alright, that's it for today, and if you like this video and want to know more about some special ways to approach your guitar tones in the studio, make sure to check this next video as well. See you there, and thank you.